Hello, everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on November the 3rd, 2016. And this week's Impact started off with Brandy Rhodes coming out and basically she cut a promo about what happened to Cody the week before. So, talking about what happened between him and Lashley, and of course Michael Bennett and Cody to go along with it. She says like this isn't the last we've seen of Cody and everything to go along with it. This eventually leads to her getting interrupted by Maria, who wants her to join. Maria wants Brandy to join up with her and the ladies stable, or I forget exactly what she's calling it at this point in time, but basically join up Maria's stable and everything on that aspect. Of course, Brandy plays the consummate face here and says, "I know I do everything I do what I want on my own, and I'm not gonna basically join." She gets she does attack Sienna a little bit, but then gets distracted by Maria, who gets late, and then Sienna lays out Brandy to basically end the segment. Not a bad segment there. Brandy Rhodes not too bad in the terms of cutting a promo. She was never bad as an announcer by any stretch of the imagination, but not too bad as a promo to go along with everything here. And it almost doesn't feel out of place for her to be in the ring taking bumps and everything in that sense. It's not like a very awkward bump or anything in that sense to go along with it. So it came off pretty decent with the opening segment. And of course this leads somewhere down the road with something more with Cody and Michael Bennett and Brandy Rhodes and Maria to go along with it. We'll see where they end up going with everything. Up next, they had the Grand Championship match, which was Aaron Rex going up against Jesse Goddard again. Interesting way, like they're doing a lot of interesting things with the Aaron Rex character that's kind of helping the aspect of this whole Grand Championship thing. I'm not a big fan of how the format goes now. With everything in that sense, at least how they initially do is like, oh, one person wins one round, the next person wins the other. I am liking the aspect of like Aaron Rex losing out in 2 rounds and then has to cheat or do something to garner the victory, and he continues that aspect here. Like even with the aspect of saying that it's like, oh, he's doing everything legitimate. He has two taped fingers, which it's mentioned that both of those, like backstage, everyone knows on both of those fingers he has 2 like gold rings on. So you're going under the assumption that he's not taking off the rings. That's how he's getting these knockout punches and everything. That's how he wins here again. He even had they're even playing off something. He has something in the towel like where he puts his hand up to their face. All of a sudden their eyes burn. They can't see. They can't do this. Playing up old heelish type tactics and being sneaky about it. And then so of course saying it's like, oh no, I won completely legitimate and everything in that sense, because you can't technically see whatever he has. To go along with it. So I am kind of liking that aspect of everything to go along with it for right now. We'll see what they continue to play off of it here in the very near future, because they keep playing this aspect is like he loses the first 2 rounds and has to do something sneaky in the 3rd round to garner the victory in the end. So up next you had a Team X Gold promo, and I was wondering what a little bit of this was. I missed last week, unfortunately, so I figured out a little bit more what this is. Like they have different types of rules. It's kind of like a lucha libre style tag team, a 6-man tag team match, where it's like, oh, if someone gets knocked out of the ring, the next person can just come in, no tag needed. That was how they kind of did things for the longest time with the 6-man tags in the lucha side, at least in the terms of the WCW and the cruiserweight division. And I think that's how they came up with the rule, as well as through lucha libre to go along with it. I'm not 100% certain on that, but that's what they're kind of playing off of here. But they also play off of this aspect to the rules of, like, if you're breaking a rule and instead of like an entire team being disqualified, a team member gets ejected. So, like in this match, Rockstar Spud's teammates decay, which is kind of weird for X because of Abyss, even though he's been X Division champion at one time, to go along with it. But but they get kicked out of the match for causing too much, for staying in the ring for the 5 count. So they, instead of disqualifying the entire team, they ejected both members of Decay, which was an interesting way of going. And the other aspect that I figured out about this thing is that they're fighting over a flag. A flag. It almost makes you wish that they just made a 6-man tag title in this case, instead of just having the flag to go along with it. It's interesting, but not all that good to go along with it. I'm not too keen on this Team X Gold thing at this point. We'll see. Like, the match, this week was a triple threat match. You had Trevor Lee, Andrew Everett, and I forget his first name, but it ends with Rocket. They were teaming up, and you had Rockstar Spud and Decay, and you have DJZ, Braxton Sutter, and Mandrews, which DJZ, Braxton Sutter, and Mandrews are the ones who are in control of the flag right now. Like I said, it makes you wish they kind of just made a 6-man tag team title, or a 3, like a in some way, shape, or form to go along with that, or like, oh, this is a 3-person team tag team title title or something in that sense, instead of just them fighting over a flag. Came off a little weird. Matter of fact, a lot of things on the show came off a little weird. Speaking of weird, though, you had the Broken Hardys supposed to go. I got this wrong a couple weeks ago, but I'll get it right tonight. They were supposed to go up against the DCC. I thought it was DOC for Doc, but no, it's just the DCC. I like the aspect of what Matt Hardy continually called these guys throughout the entire time, throughout this entire match. He called them masked businessmen, and it came off. This match came off as pretty much a no match. Especially, like, it did start for a brief period, but it ends in a no contest like a couple minutes later. They basically get the Hardys get laid out initially by the DCC, and they were going to leave. And you had Matt Hardy's like, even though the lights went out and then it came back on, and it's like, you still had Matt Hardy. It's like, even though they were turning behind, he's like, mass businessmen, I knew you'd come. And then they turn around and start attacking. But both of them get laid out. Jeff basically challenges them to come back. That's how the match starts, and it eventually ends in a no contest because all 3 guys were kind of just in the match. Like, the match itself was just a no match in general. Like, all 3 guys were generally around for this DCC side. This continues with, and the fight continues on in the backstage, and they go into Final Deletion, Delete or Decay, or Great War stuff in the backstage, where both brothers are kind of fighting off in different areas. You had Broken Matt working with this forklift to go along with everything, where they were eventually up extremely high. But he was like trying to not necessarily trying to convince, but he was telling the driver to fork the other guy. Oh my god, the line was just too funny to go along with it, and to forklift the other guy. And he completely refused, and then Matt Hardy just bites his arm. It's like, okay, I'll do it. And it was good stuff. Jeff Hardy eventually goes into his immortal persona again, and he has the belt, and he's smoking the cigarette and everything. It was good stuff again. Like a mixture of like just brutality and a little bit of silliness, and this gimmick it works. I don't know why it works. It's probably the cheesiness and the B style movie type stuff that Matt Hardy's doing with everything, but it works in the end, and I'm enjoying it. The end of it sees Matt Hardy taking a fall off the forklift that was already raised really high. He lands. Jeff goes in to ask him whether or not he was okay, and it's like Matt says, "Yeah, but who are you?" So maybe a little bit of amnesia or something playing off of everything here in the future, or maybe not necessarily not knowing who he is, but not knowing who other people are. So we'll see how they play off of it to go along with it. Up next, you had EC3 and Eli Drake's promo. I like this promo because Eli Drake still plays off as being like a little bit smarter, doesn't get goaded into what EC3 wanted in the end. EC3 came out there, starts cutting a promo, and they have a good back and forth between the two of them. I thought the back and forth between the two of them was really good. Eli Drake saying is like, oh, EC3 was handed everything, and EC3 saying is like, well, I was handed an opportunity, but I earned everything else, and then talking a little bit of trash towards Eli Drake, and then eventually he challenges Eli Drake to a one-on-one match where towards the at the beginning it was just like, oh, he wanted to put up Bound for Gold in one match against EC3. Of course, Eli Drake's like not having any of it, and then he ups the caveat a little bit by saying it's like, if you beat me, it's like if he wins, he becomes number one contender. If EC3 loses, he would never get another world title shot again, which intrigued him initially, but then he teases it by saying it's like, next week we'll just make history. It's going to be Eli Drake versus the winner of the main event, and says he's cashing in Bound for Gold next week. I like this promo. It came off really good, and it was an aspect of EC3 trying to get something out of Eli Drake, but Eli Drake not biting and saying, nope, I'm just going to cash in my Bound for Gold next week. We'll be good to go. So this leads into the main event of the night, which they've been playing promo packages throughout the entire night, building up Eddie Edwards for the most part. Like little video packages about like him and Davey Richards and his mentors and everything in that sense. And there were good video packages to go along with it, and everything to that aspect. Maybe a little bit of overkill on that side because it was only about Eddie Edwards. They did nothing with Bobby Lashley. Then again, that's kind of like Bobby Lashley's gimmick is like, I just go out there and win. In that sense, I don't need sympathy. I don't need video package or anything in this sense. They go out there for the match. Good match between the two of them. Eddie Edwards ends out winning. Like, there's not much to truly say about the match in the end, other than it was a very confusing ending. It looked like they were going to disqualify Lashley, and like the world title was actually in the ring and everything in that sense. And Lashley grabs for it, and then Eddie Edwards hits the Boston Knee Party to get the victory. Which made it look like, because the one referee was knocked out, and then the second referee got knocked out after he came out there to count a 2 count. And it looked like the first referee was going to disqualify Bobby Lashley, but then just does like a quick count at the end to give Eddie Edwards the win. It was a very confusing ending. I was not too keen on it. The match itself wasn't bad between the two of them. Like, both of those guys' work rate's pretty good. It was just a very confusing ending to the match itself. So, yeah. Overall, not a bad Impact. A little bit of confusion. I'm not a big fan of this whole Team X Gold thing, especially the whole flag gimmick to go along with it. With everything to go along with that. The main event was fine. You have stuff building up between Brandy Rhodes and Maria, and of course that's going to lead something with Cody and Michael Bennett to go along with it. We already see the heel turn from Aaron Rex happening, but it fully hasn't happened yet. In that sense, like, he's starting to cheat more and more and more to get these victories in the Grand Championship matches. So we'll see where they go with everything. The stuff with the Broken Hardys and the DCC I thought was pretty good. And we'll see how everything continues on with Impact Wrestling over the next couple of weeks. That is my review this week for TNA Impact Wrestling. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great day.